you have a story, you want a reading, you want me to help you with your life, you have a health problem that you can't put your finger on, and you're like, why is my shoulder constantly in problem? And you want me to read it and you want me to get into it. I'm not that medical expert, but I can tell you where the emotion is attached to it. I think you'll be surprised at how powerful that is. So I would love to hear from you. Go to lisawilliams.com/podcast-guest and we will get you on the show. Hi everyone. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. The advice and insights shared here are based on my personal experiences and expertise, but they are not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or business advice. If you are dealing with a specific issue, please consult a qualified expert. And thanks for watching. Hey everyone, so today's scheduled podcast, we had something, I wanted to talk about healing, but I woke up to the most amazing news and I feel like I need to share this with you because this is actually part of hope, transformation, healing, all of the things that I talk about. And it actually goes into how my life has actually morphed into the work that I'm doing now. So I've been working with a woman in Norway and I love Norway. And one of these ladies is now a master teacher. She's a master teacher of mine. I've worked with her for many years and in a variety of different capacities. She's actually a healer. She came to me last year and delivered the devastating news that she had pancreatic cancer. Well, I don't know if you know anything about pancreatic cancer. I recently, a couple of years ago, lost a really good friend of mine to pancreatic cancer, and he was in his early 40s. This woman is in her 50s, and she helps out so many different people. And in this journey, she was lost. She was given a 15% chance of surviving this. And I said to her, let me work with you. And she was overwhelmed. And I said, no, let me work with you. Let's do this together. And she is the first person to jump on the bandwagon and help everybody else. She would help everyone. So I have this uncanny ability to be able to read someone's body. I can tap in and I'm able to tell you where the trauma lies, what happens, where the blockages are, and let's work through it. And so I woke up today to this amazing, amazing news that I can't wait to share with you. She did the work, and I'll explain it to you, but my text message here was, my text message was, new CT scans show no spreading. I'm so incredibly happy. So in my mind, I thought, wow, her cancer is still there, but it hasn't spread. She had the Whipple surgery, which again, she was only given the opportunity to have the Whipple surgery if she could reduce her cancer. And she did. She reduced the tumors by 60% before she did this. She had chemotherapy and she was doing the emotional work, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But I couldn't wait to share this with you. So her Instagram post, which we'll post for you in here, her Instagram post here actually shares that there is no cancer in her body.
Hi friends, today my cancer doctor called me regarding my last CT scanning pictures, and I can't describe how happy I am. It was no cancer or spreading in my body. I've been crying the whole day. because I'm so happy. And so thank you everyone for your support. Love you.
This is such an incredible thing when you're realizing that you're in control of your own health. You are fully in control of what you're doing and what you're putting into your body and how you are healing. I cannot be happier for this woman. I fought my own battles with this disease that kills so many everywhere around the world. And I just am so excited. I'm going to ask her to be on the podcast. And I am so excited for this. So I'm just going to send her a very quick message. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Hey, Turan, I just wanted to say I'm so happy. I watched your Instagram post and I honestly thought it was just this new CT scans didn't show any form of spreading. But when you said that there was no sign of cancer, I am so incredibly happy for you. You have no idea. Wow. I'm sending you so much love, and let's just keep on doing that. We're going to kick this thing completely. All right. I love you. Bye. Sometimes we just have to make this happen. It is amazing. Okay. Now back to this regularly scheduled show. And today we are actually diving into the topic that affects every single one of us. The connection between our emotions and our physical health. Seriously, you cannot make this shit up. So when this was our scheduled show, and then I get that text message. So let me ask you, have you ever noticed that when you're under stress, your body starts to react? Maybe you get headaches, maybe you have tension in your shoulders, maybe your stomach starts playing up. Maybe grief or trauma have left you feeling like this exhaustion. Well, guys, here's the truth. Your body holds on to the emotional energy. Whether you like to believe it or not, it's true. And if you don't address it, it starts showing up in ways that you really can't ignore. Now, my spark of hope today was Turan's story, where she could not ignore pancreatic cancer. And her story is hers to tell, and I'm going to bring her on the podcast. But that is just an absolute proof that this is reality. So today we're going to be exploring how your emotions can impact your physical health and the science behind it and all the practical steps that you can take to start healing from this pain within. So let's talk about this, okay? So there is some science here, and I'm just going to share it with you because I know the skeptics out there are going to be, yeah, where's the science? Okay, so I'm going to lead with this because I can't be dealing with the BS of it, okay? So I'm just going to get straight down to it. The science health link. Chronic stress has been linked to increased pain, fatigue, and susceptibility to these diseases, whether it's cancer, autoimmune disease, and everything else in between. Now, studies show that high levels of stress and depression lead to higher rates of physical health problems. Okay? So let's talk about your brain. Your brain reacting to emotions. When we experience stress, the hypothalamus triggers a release of all of these neurochemicals. Okay? Cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all of this stuff, which create a full body response to affecting energy levels, digestion, and even cognitive function. And the amygdala, that fight or flight part of us where we freeze, we don't know how to react, we're just in this triggered mode. Your brain, this is your brain's emotional processing center. The amygdala plays a key role in how your emotions impact your physical health. And people with better emotional regulation and skills tend to experience better physical health. These are studies that have been done, everyone. And so when we are helping our own emotions and we are working with our emotions, this can change everything. This is the work that I have been doing over the last decade. What's happened is I was finding that people were coming to me with grief, with massive, massive changes in their life, didn't know how to overcome what was going on in their world. And when we hit the pandemic, it went even more. It just soared. And seriously, people were just having these, I want to speak to my dad. And then they, after this off-the-cuff comment, they would say, oh, and by the way, I've got this health issue. Can you help me? And I'm like, sure. And the more I started to go into this, the more I started to realize these health issues were connected to the grief that they were going through the change that they were having, through the divorce that they were having, through empty nesting. And I will tell you my own story in this. And I started to realize there was a correlation here. Much like Turin's story, which we'll talk about that in a moment and how we got to where she is. The stuff that I shared with her was helpful. She did the work and she healed herself. And I can share story after story after story about this. But first of all, before we do that, I'm going to share my own story. My own story, which I think is, it's impacting. And it was very, very key to my own healing. Just as we were coming towards the end of the pandemic, or really kind of the middle, it was at the end of 2020. I had thyroid surgery. My thyroid had a nodule on it that made me look like a man. I had an absolute Adam's apple. It was big. It was like a golf ball. And I went to my doctor and I said, hey, listen, I don't like this. And he's like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? I said, well, what is it? And so we went in there, I had a biopsy, and it was, a cyst on my thyroid. And he's like, Lisa, we can take it out. It's not actually causing you any problems, but precautions, we can take out part of your thyroid. And I said, sure. And my head was not in this space. My head, I was dealing with my one child living with her friends. She didn't want to live at home because, pandemic. We had to choose who we wanted to be with. The last thing she wanted to do was hang out with mom. And so I had to deal with my other son. He moved away. So I was empty nesting. Something disastrous and awful happened between my husband and I, which is another story for another podcast. But there was a massive amount of betrayal. Then my husband was asked to leave the country and go to Afghanistan. And he was one of the last soldiers. In fact, he closed down, and I probably should be sharing this, but he closed down one of the airfields in Afghanistan. Well, in fact, two. And so I had to deal with massive amounts of grief. I didn't realize it was grief. I didn't realize that what I was doing was, my body was going through this. So that whole of 2020, right from the very, very beginning, I was dealing with massive amounts of pressure. And then professionally on top of it, I had a guy that was working with me who was saying, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And all I was doing was showing up and serving everybody else. I was depleting myself. So when I had my thyroid taken out on the 12th of December 2020, my husband had just left for Afghanistan. I had no one looking after me. I was stuck. And I didn't know what to do. And then the awful thing happened where it affected my vocal cords. And those of you who followed me in that time will know that I had this, I was sat there and you'd so used to see me online that the hardest thing happened where I had literally all of these little pages and I was flicking them up with writing on them because I couldn't talk. I had no vocal cords. And I had to rehabilitate my own vocal strength and my instrument. I was a singer. My instrument here was damaged. Little did I know, I was burnt out. I was stressed. I was tired. I was going through grief. I was healing. I was a mess. I cried for days. And the only thing that I had was my dogs. And I didn't know what to do. My mum and dad live in Spain. You know, my kids, they're like, whatever, mum. And I had my friends. And I had two dear friends. You know, my friend Goethe, who I absolutely adore. She's like my mum. You'll hear all about Goethe. All right, I love Goethe. She's this Polish woman. I love her. I had my friend Nancy who would come and check on me. But that was it. You know, I was stuck. And I realized that I was not practicing what I was preaching. I was not practicing what I was preaching. Listen, you know, I'm here, I can spout all of this out, but I'm telling you, this shit is hard. I'm gonna be honest. Who wants to start healing themselves when it's like, you know, it's hard work. And I remember having a woman saying to me, you know, I've got all of these stuff going on. I've got all of this emotion, this health issues, and the doctors aren't coming to the bottom of it. What's going on, Lisa? And I said, this is emotions. Look at the weight of your job that you've been doing. And she literally said to me, honestly, I cannot believe it. She literally said to me, so what you're telling me is I have to now go through this, and now you want me to see a psychiatrist? I said, no, not really. I mean, you can do what you want. She's like, I haven't got time for that. And I was like, okay. And that is because we're not trained. The doctors don't tell you this stuff because they don't know it. And we're not recognizing the correlation between our emotions and how it's affecting our physical health. And so let's talk about, you know, what I had to do. I had to do immense amount of healing. I'm going to tell you, no one likes to journal. And if you do, I commend you. Man, I commend you. But no one likes to journal. That journaling is like, getting out all of my crap. I don't want to really live it again. But when I started to realize that I had built up stuff that I had to work through, it was unbelievable. My husband, you know, there was an infidelity, okay? I'm just sharing it. And it's my story to share, and I'm not going into the details of it, but we decided to work through it. And it was the best thing that we did because our relationship is so much stronger. It is so much more impacting. We have such an amazing, amazing relationship. But it wasn't easy. And this infidelity happened before we actually got married. And he told me. He opened up and shared. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I went to the other person first. She had the whole opportunity to have what she wanted. But he told me. She denied it. He told me. And you know what? That took a lot of hard work to work through. And it wasn't easy on his part, but it wasn't easy on my part. And I know this might be triggering for some people, and people are like, I can't get past that. I never thought I could. But when I realized that it had happened 3 years before we got married, and now I'm finding out, and I realized that he was not the man I'd married was not the man that was 3 years prior. And we worked through it. It wasn't easy, but we worked through it. And I'm telling you, we have such an incredible relationship, but the emotional part of it took its toll on my body. I gained weight. My weight ballooned to a point that I had no idea what to do. And I didn't know how to manage it. And I was going through trainer, I was on Noom, I was doing all of the diets and you name it. I did everything, but I was carrying emotional baggage. So when my clients come to me, they come at desperation. And you might be sitting there and listening and saying, wow, you know, I get it. Maybe this is for me. Maybe this is what happened to me. And I think it is. My eyesight went. I know that that's grief too. And so when we are looking at deeper issues, when the doctor cannot diagnose you, when the doctor tells you it's all in your head, well, it kind of is, because it's our emotions, it's our brain that's guiding this. And so what we have to do is we have to heal it. And I'm going to tell you how we're going to heal it today. Okay? So I'm going to share with you the healing that we did with Turin. I'm going to show you the healing that I did with me and the healing that I've done with thousands of other people. And I'm going to give you an opportunity in the next few weeks to do the healing yourself. This is my aim is to help you all heal your own ailments. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a point that, you know, you've had so much go on at you and all of this emotional stuff that your body then says, okay, I'm done. All right, I'm done. I'm tired. Okay. And so therefore it does then become more ingrained in our body, in our system. And that's when we do need drastic measures such as operations and things like that. So the medical system, I absolutely believe that the medical system is very, very valid. You know, there are diseases that we need help with. But Western and Eastern or alternative practices, holistic practices work hand in hand. And this is where I feel that we have to embrace both parts of it. So let's talk about Turin's story. And I'm going to bring her onto the show, but I'm going to share with you what we did to help her. And I'm going to share another side of the story with a dear friend of mine who lost his life to pancreatic cancer. Let's talk about my friend John. My friend John came to me, and I remember exactly where I was standing when he said to me, Lisa, I have cancer. I was at my friend's house in LA, and I was in her basement, which is a beautiful bedroom, and I was sitting on the chair. And I sat down there and he said, Lisa, I'm not telling many people, but you're very close to me. I have cancer. And he started to tell me how it started to manifest. It manifested in his back. He was having back problems. He had problems with his stomach. He didn't know how to do this. And what immediately went through my head is, John, let me help you. Let me help you heal. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I said, John, you've got to do the work. And he's like, what do you mean? What's the work? And I said, you have to do the healing yourself. I said, let's get you some meditations. Let's get you, you know, on my healing table. Let's get you doing the work. So what we did is we started this thought process of doing this. And so he went down the traditional chemotherapy. Absolutely. This is what is going, it's proven to help you. And I said, before you do chemo, while you're waiting, let's get you doing meditation. So I created meditations for him. I checked in with him and I'm like, John, are you doing the work? Yeah. And I said, have you done the meditation? Absolutely. And then I said, will you speak to a friend of mine who does nutrition and supplements? And he's like, yeah, I will. And I realized that he was really struggling with his mindset of it. He was really struggling with the coping of, oh my God, this is what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, doctors don't give you a lot of hope sometimes. They really don't. You know, it's a really tough place to be because they're working on statistics. And he started his chemotherapy. You know, he sent me pictures of him with his port in and everything like that. And I said, John, have you contacted my friend who does nutrition and supplements? He said, well, I want to get through the cancer. I want to get through the chemotherapy first before I do that. I said, what about acupuncture? He said, yeah, Lisa, I'm going to do that, but let's get the chemo working. And at that point, I can't tell somebody that, you know, he wouldn't hear it. And I said, there's a supplement. What the body does is it naturally supports the holistic part of it, and the chemotherapy support each other. And he got diagnosed in the September, I think it was the September, and I know that he told me at the beginning of October, and he passed away on my son's birthday, April 15, 2022. It was a devastating loss, and one of the hardest things for me was I came down with COVID that week, and his wife said to me, Lisa, I want you to come in and see John before he goes. And I couldn't because I had COVID, and I just couldn't go. And that was really hard for me, not being able to say goodbye to one of my best friends, someone who had been there for me, someone who had got me out of 8 speeding tickets. I don't know how, but he did. He was an attorney. So when Turin came to me and said, I have pancreatic cancer, all of this stuff from John started to flood back. And I just said, okay, let's do it. We created meditations, personalized meditations, vision statements for her. We created personalized journaling prompts. And we realized from my magic stick, my magic wand, that she had deep-seated emotional stuff that she'd locked down. And we uncovered all of this. And she journaled, she cried, she had to deal with deep emotional stuff that she had been burying for years. And wow! She's like, I unlocked so much. I feel better. And that's how we did it. So this was totally unexpected between me and my producer, and totally so unexpected that I've actually put my retainers in and I've got like a gummy mouth. So anyway, Ray has a bad knee. Ray, what side of your knee, which knee is it?
It is my left knee. I am 62 years old. And basically, my doctor says that because I'm older, all the cushiony stuff in there has disappeared, and now it's just bone hitting bone all the time. So whenever I walk anywhere, it's just,
Were you an athlete?
No, I was not. I was overweight most of my life and ugly like I am now.
Oh, please. Okay. So let's talk about this. So your left knee is feminine energy, and it's connected to female. So either something that's impacted you regarding a female or to do with this. So when did Mum pass?
My mother died about 2.5 years ago.
Okay. We loved your mom.
She's a sweetheart.
We loved her.
And I'm going to see her again sooner or later, so I'm not worried.
Okay. So let me ask you, when your knee pain, when did your knee pain come on?
Probably around that time, about 2.5 years ago. That makes an awesome connection that I never even thought of.
Right. And so when we were talking about your knee pain, and you're like, well, I've dealt with my mama's grief.
Definitely.
Because in your mind...
Well, you've helped me because, I realized she took an earlier train. So, eventually I'll be on the train, we'll meet again, and we'll be together again. So I don't grieve that I'm never going to see her again. I do miss her. I do talk to her, all those things, but I don't feel like she's gone forever and I'm never going to see her again.
Okay, so let me bring this into you. You have processed it, and let me put this to you. Basically, when right now we are having over 800 impressions on our brain a day, more than what we had in the 1990s, the 1980s, the 2000s, because of social media, because of advertisements, because of the way that our brain is trained. So we are constantly now training our brain to be quicker, 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 and we're having all of these impressions, so we're actually overwhelmed.
Right.
Our body can't deal that fast. Our body goes, hold on, wait, I got to deal with that. Oh, another thing. Oh. And so what's happening is we've got pressure on pressure on pressure, and it's layered emotions within us. And so what's happening is you are now saying, well, I can deal with that because I did a TV show with Lisa and I saw her speak to, dead people, and I saw her change lives in front of me. All right, which is true.
Absolutely.
But what happened is your body has not caught up. Your body is now holding that, and it's saying, hey, I'm hurting. Look at me. And now let me deal with it.
And what exactly do I do? How do I talk back to my body?
Well, okay, let's do this. All right, so tap into your left knee. Give it some love.
Yep.
Okay. And what does it feel like it needs?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. Well, let me tap into it. Oh, do you have a brother?
Yes, younger brother.
Oh, your brother's connected into your knee.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Your brother and your mum's relationship. Were there issues between your mum and your brother?
Not
or
that
did
I'm
you ever
aware.
feel jealous of it or anything?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Your brother is in your left knee.
Well, let me call him and tell him to get the hell out.
Yeah, your brother's in your left knee and your mum's in your left knee. And as I'm connecting in, I feel like I've got your mum here. And I feel like, oh, you put additional pain and strain on you. Did you actually move to be with mum?
Yes. When she was going through dementia, so I moved from California back home to Cincinnati.
Okay. And as I'm looking at this, you felt very helpless in that relationship, correct?
I did, for many reasons, yes.
And what I'm being shown, and I'm feeling her here, is I feel like this knee, as I'm connecting into your knee, I feel like you were very helpless, and that and was there ever a lack of communication, or did your brother not quite understand where you were at that same point? Or did you feel that he didn't?
I don't think he understood where I was. I mean, I felt like, oh my God, I'm a 60-year-old man and I'm living in my mother's basement again. That's what the whole tragedy was.
Yeah, because what I'm actually seeing now is that your knee is related to this massive amount of grief that you went through, this massive life transformation, and immediately I hear that you did everything that you could and you were brilliant in it. But I actually feel that this was hugely, it was a very hard situation. You felt like you left everything behind, and you felt like it stunted your growth as a person. It stunted you.
It stalled my career, yes.
Yes. Well, your knee is a major highway in your leg. And if we look at what the knee does and it walks us forward, your knee problem is emotionally about you not being able to walk forward.
Wow, that's amazing. Yep. Okay, I would agree with that.
Now, I'm saying this, it has to resonate with you. You have to feel like, oh my God, that feels right.
No, it absolutely feels right.
This is where this is connected to, Ray. So this is about you coming to terms with where your life is right now, coming to terms with moving forward from this point onwards. And yes, we're doing the show and everything else, and now you're feeling like you've got to do something. Now, obviously, it's gotten to a point that it's now really impacting the knee, and the doctor has to intervene.
How do I get rid of that negative energy now so that the knee heals?
So it's not necessarily negative energy. So let's turn that phrase around. How am I going to emotionally deal with this? And so this is where I would say to you, have you really fully resigned yourself to the fact that you're going to live in Cincinnati, or is there always that hope that you're going to move back to LA?
No, I don't want to go back.
Okay.
It was fun when I was young, but it's just too much energy and too much work now that I'm 60.
Has this got any relation to your career as well?
Oh, yes. Yeah, because, in LA, I was producing the big shows. I was producing your Lifetime show. There's none of that in Cincinnati, but I enjoy living here. It's so much more relaxing than it was in LA, in New York.
I mean, you think?
So yes, I am grateful that I'm here, but I'm also realizing that I'm going to have to settle for, not being able to produce network TV shows anymore.
So that is where your healing's going to have to start. You're going to have to get deeper into the acceptance and the realization of where your career is, and maybe not producing, network TV shows. I mean, you've got Emmys behind you. I mean, you are so recognized in the industry, and I'm just going to put it from my point of view, I'm very grateful that I'm working with you.
And vice versa, believe me.
And maybe this is what you need to help heal your knee. So let's keep this conversation going. This could be interesting.
All right, that's fine.
Your mom is here. I feel her.
I love her so much.
I know. She's awesome. Go ahead.
She went through dementia, and looking back, it's like, oh my God, I didn't give her enough attention. I didn't give her enough hugs. I didn't make her feel safe as much as I should have. All those things that you do in hindsight after someone dies, is she okay with how I helped her get through it?
Well, I'm just going to say this before you even said anything about that. And I was going to say something, and I'll let you carry on. She actually said, you did everything for me. You did everything. You couldn't have done anything else. She said, the greatest gift that you could ever have given her was you moving home. She had her little boy back.
Well, that's so good to hear, because I just felt like, in hindsight, I didn't do enough. I wasn't.
No, you did everything.
I remember, let me tell you this very interesting story. She would always, in her dementia, say, I want to go home. I want to go home. Because she didn't realize that this is her home. She created this home 30 years ago. She built this house. This is her home. The dementia kept saying, I want to go home. Oh. So we would take her for a drive in the car around the block. And when we arrived back here, she felt like she was home. Oh. And I just remember thinking, this is such a pain in the ass. Why do I have to do this? Blah, blah, blah. Now I would give anything to drive her around the block again. But at the time, my mind was just in a different place, and it wasn't about her. It was about me, and that's the big mistake I made. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you were in coping. You were coping. Ray, you also had to go through massive amounts of change. You changed your life. You changed your world. You moved across the country. You were also coping with change.
Right.
And that's not the easy thing. And so you coping with that change is really hard. You were actually, that's what you had to do.
And anybody who's dealt with dementia patients knows that when your mother looks you in the eye and that gleam isn't there of her knowing who you are, it's just heartbreaking. It's just It's a vicious disease.
It really is. Well, she's here. You just so happen to have a friend of yours that can chat with her.
Yeah, that's so great. You have
You know
no
what you should
idea.
do? Is you should show that clip of me doing her a reading.
You made her so happy. You read her in 2005. Back in the 60s, her father had done some things that he shouldn't have done. He died in the early 70s. In the 90s, my mother found out about what had happened.
Oh, wow.
And one of her biggest fears was that her mother, did she know what was happening? Did she know what my grandfather had done? And so that was the big question on her mind when you read her.
He's coming through and saying he's sorry. Does that make sense to you? Your mum's kind of beating him up a little bit.
She should.
She's saying, I didn't know.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's what she needs to come across with. And that's the way she's coming across. I didn't know. Very, very quick.
We didn't think she did.
Okay.
So I thank you for all of that stuff. You have no idea the impact you've had on my family. It's just amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me. Thanks for sharing that,
Sure. Well, I will keep you updated on my knee.
Yes. Thanks, Ray. Oh, my God.
Thank you so much.
So let's just do this exercise together, guys. Let's just do it because I want to help you understand your body a little bit. You can come to me as a psychic medium because I'm pretty good at that. Kind of really good. And that's great. But when there's an opportunity to heal and get to the bottom of what it is, and you can go, oh my gosh, I now know what my own healing is, I can help you. You can come to find out whether the guy that you're dating is gonna be the one, or we can really get into the reason why you keep repeating the same emotional pattern. And it's because it's locked deep within you. So let's take a minute. Let's do this together. All right, I want you to breathe. How many times do you feel like in the day you don't breathe? Okay, so take a deep breath. So let's breathe in. Breathe in through the nose. If you can, hold it and exhale. What that's done is it's settled your nervous system. Your nervous system is where your body needs to relax. That's where it's the amygdala. It holds all of these emotions, holds the tension. I want you just to drop your shoulders, relax your jaw, soften your forehead, and just breathe. Just take this moment, just breathe right now. I want you just to scan your body. If there's a part of your body that is hurting, or you've got some pain, or you're not feeling 100%, bring your attention there. Mine is my throat today. Okay, my throat not feeling 100%. And what I want you to do is bring your awareness, so bring your attention down onto the throat, or down onto your back, or down into your stomach, or down into your shoulder. And I want you to connect with this part of the body. Feel it. Almost imagine yourself in that. Come out externally and imagine yourself there. And then I want you to see what it's trying to say. Be aware of it. What does it need? Let's not look at what it needs in a physical aspect, such as mine is, my tea with my honey. What does it need? What does it need to tell you? Wow. And as I tapped into mine, all of a sudden I heard, I'm tired. I'm like, wow. Am I, Lisa, tired? Or is my throat tired? And then I asked that question, And I heard, because I hear both. I hear that I am physically tired myself and my voice is tired. And so you might be thinking to yourself, I don't hear anything. What I want you to do is I want you to sense it, feel it, know it, see it, hear it. So just have that moment, just breathe, connect in. What does that part of my body want? What is it telling me right now? And you have to trust it. Because immediately your brain might go, oh, it's gone into, I need to do this, I need to do that, but why, but what, why, but why, how, when, all of it. It's going to ask you all of these things. Your brain is naturally going to go into what, why, when, where, how, who. And at that point, you can't. You actually have to listen. You have to imagine that this is a child and talk to it like it's a child. I'm hurting. I'm tired. It's going to give you very simple emotions and clues. The thing is we overcomplicate everything. I don't know about you, but I can create a whole Hollywood drama in my head that should win an Oscar. I'm just going to tell you, it really should win an Oscar. And at that space, that's what goes in my head. And it's really simple. And then you have to honor this part. If your voice is saying you're tired, what do I need to do that? And all of a sudden I've heard sleep. I'm like, wow, I need to sleep. That's a novel idea. All right, wow, I need sleep. Rest, rejuvenation. If your shoulder is saying to you, it's about your job. Wow, your job? What is it about your job that is a problem? Who is it? And ask yourself deeper questions. Your brain is going to naturally want to go off in a whole tangent and, like I said, create your own Hollywood drama that should deserve an Emmy or an Oscar. But let's not overcomplicate it, okay? It's not worth it. And so what we want to do is we want to breathe now. And what we want to do is, I feel like Galinda when I do that. Have you seen Wicked? Oh, I feel like that. But when we want to heal this now, all right, what we want to do is we want to now tell our body it's safe. So I want to place my hand on my throat because it's tired. And I want to say, you are healthy. And say as I am healthy. I am vibrant. I am alive. I am awake. Your shoulder may want to say, I am safe. And there's a great thing called EFT, emotional freedom tapping, okay? It's the emotional freedom technique. And all you need to do is tap. And you can literally say this, and there's different places that you can tap. And all you have to do is say, I am healthy, I am safe, I am alive. I am healthy, I'm safe, I'm alive. Or I am safe. Let's all do this right now. Tap on your shoulders. Just on your collarbone. I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. You need to say it out loud 3 times because your brain needs to hear it physically 3 times to start neural pathways for you to start believing it. I've seen it time and time again in a reading where people are needing to heal from their grief, their trauma, their changes, their empty nesting, all of this stuff. So this is important. And if you found this helpful, share this with everybody. Share this with anybody that you know. Share this with people that you are, you see every single day. Share it with parents. Share it out. Because this is some of the work that is so easy. Now, Turin, with her cancer, we actually got her doing all of this stuff. We got her journaling, so I'm going to bring in journaling as well at some point. And I also got her doing acupuncture. I got her doing supplements. We got her doing really looking at her diet and getting the right diet to support her, all while she was doing her chemotherapy. There's so many times that we can use these holistic treatments that will support it. And I have friends who are doctors who are willing to come on the show, and we're going to be talking about this a lot. But I really want to share this with you because it can heal you in this moment. So your body isn't working against you. It's just needing attention. It needs you. What is it trying to tell you? So just in closing, I want you to listen to your own body. Start understanding what your body is trying to say to you, the signals it's giving you. And because it's trying to heal. It's like a 2-year-old having a tantrum and saying, look at me. And we're ignoring it. We're immediately wanting to find pop a pill or a way to get around it. I'm really going to encourage you to bring two aspects of health and wellness together. Listening to what your body wants, exercising, walking, nutrition, breath work, sunlight, going outside. And then if we need to go to the doctor, then the doctors are there. That's what they're trained to do. But let's bring the two together. And so I'm going to encourage you to share this with everyone. Follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, it's all out there. And share with me, submit a question. Let's get you on the show. Let me help you move through this. And so as I say goodbye to you today, I want to say thank you for sharing this intimate space with me. And thank you for letting me share some really personal moments. And next time, we're going to be talking about how mediumship can actually heal you and the things that we have to do to actually really heal deeper and what it means to connect with your loved ones. So I will see you all next time, and thank you for joining me. And remember, hope is not a wish. It's a decision to believe in something better. And together, we're going to find that hope and we're going to make it reality. So until next time, take care, trust your intuition, and keep shining in your own light. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.